I was reading somewhere that you said that in another life you might have been a film critic.
Yeah.
and I love that because I love movies. So I was going to ask you.
Me too, man. I pick them. I don't pick them apart. You know, sometimes lately I've been watching movies just based on how it makes me feel. Like I take my critical hat off and I'm just like, I enjoy the good story or, you know, like the hero's journey or just like, you know, great pieces, great shows, great plots. You feel me?
What's been a movie that you feel has like defined the way you think or moved you in the way that you're speaking about right now that left a lasting impact?
Forrest Gump for sure. That's one of the ones that like struck me hard. The Matrix. I had like a special relationship with the Matrix because Neo's name was Mr. Anderson. So that's my last name too. So it always like struck a chord with me. Definitely like I'm a big nerd. So I love like Batman. I love all Marvel, DC.
Me too.
Anime, Dragon Ball Z, Star Wars, Star Trek. That's something that really my brother kind of got me into early on but what I connected with, like everything about those things, like Dragon Ball or like Star Wars, they all have to deal with like that power within. And I feel like that's why I connected to it so much. It would be like against all possible odds, they would dig deep and go to a new level that people, you know, not only did not expect them to, but was quote unquote impossible. You feel me?
Yeah.
So things like that just always connected with like, and I'm still the same way. It's like, you know, you think you're gonna outgrow something, but I never outgrew it. And, you know, I don't care what people think. Sometimes, you know, my girl would be like, nerd. And I'll be like, yeah, whatever. Though.
It's who I am.
It's who I am.
Yeah, it's who I am. People don't expect it because, you know, you're fashionable and you got swag and then all of a sudden you start talking about movies.
I could talk about it all day, but not just that. Like I said, great movies, they go hand in hand. Like when I'm in the studio creating, like I have it set up where it's like these screens and I'll play like 2 movies at once sometimes just for aesthetic, not looking at them, but it's just, I love it, man.
Yeah.
That's like definitely a passion of mine for sure that maybe I'll tap into more later on in life, you know?
Yeah, I could see that.
Because I love writing, I love stories, I love all of that.
Yeah. Have you directed your own music videos as well, right?
Yeah, well, I have a best friend, Lawrence, who we actually did just start a production company who's directed a lot of my big videos.
Yeah.
A lot of my big songs. We won some awards together and things like that. But for most of my life, music has always been my first priority, you know? But that is something that has also gotten me in trouble. You know, it's got me in trouble, and I'll explain that a little more because being from Detroit, right? And I'm from a family where they were hard workers. My grandma was one of the first female black captains in World War II. She was one of the first female cops in Detroit. And then later she was done being a police officer. She was a teacher, a counselor. She was like a strong woman, you know, and my granddad too, they met in World War II and he has a similar story of just being so strong. And I come from a family where it's like hard work, you know, and everyone went to college and is educated. And I was kind of the first in my family to go on a different career path. You know, my mom used to always play all these like Motown, like she would play Stevie Wonder, Diana Ross, all these, the Isley Brothers, like always in the morning. And I kind of fell in love with the music, you know, but my whole life, I remember when I was graduating high school and I was graduating with a high GPA, I was on my way with a full scholarship to college, but I wanted to do music. I knew I wanted to do music. And every time I got excited about it, I could just tell that it was real, you know, like I could just feel the connection. Like, I don't care what anybody could tell me, like, nah, you tripping. Don't, like, man, you know, you're going to be out here living on the street, man. If you know, you gotta play it safe. You gotta have a backup plan and all that stuff. And obviously that is a way for a lot of people. But for me, it was like, I put all my eggs in one basket, denied, you know, my scholarship.
Yeah, Michigan State.
Yeah, and it didn't work out at first. You know, it didn't work out for me. You know, I was like, and that was the first time in my life where I hit a very big wall of depression, a very big wall of anxiety, a very, you know, pivotal moment in my life where I just didn't even feel like living. And this, you know, not to be dramatic, I was 18 years old, you know, but they are defining moments in your life. And when you're around 17 or 18, because you were around the same time when you saw that monk speak.
Yeah.
Because I'm also reading your book, Think Like a Monk. And that's a pivotal moment, you know, coming out of high school. And all my friends went to college. I didn't go, you know, I ended up meeting Kanye West, right? Rapping for him. This was my idol. This was my number one person who I wanted to sign to. And I felt like I manifested that. And my mom is someone who introduced certain books to me that I was reading at the time. When I was around 17, she introduced me to Esther and Jerry Hicks and also The Secret, you know, The Secret. And, you know, she was like, you can do it. Like, you can manifest it. And I just believed it.
I was going to ask you about that moment from a different angle. People have heard you tell the story, but the way you're talking about it today, and also I find like our generation today is so lost in like procrastination, overthinking, overanalyzing, but you just went there and showed up without knowing if it was going to go anywhere. Like, you were ready to be rejected, ready to fail, ready for it to fall flat on your face.
Yeah, because it was like, I couldn't look back and wish I woulda, coulda, shoulda, man. I just couldn't. I just felt like, I don't know why, and that was one of the concepts for one of my albums, but I just don't know why I felt like I lived a life already and like regretted it. And I was like, I just felt that in my heart as a young, you know, as a teenager. So I was like, I gotta make it happen. Like, that was just it. It was no other option, you know? And she presented these books to me, and it's like, she's like a guardian angel. It feels like when I look back on it, it's like, man, I really am living with angels, you know, like my mom, my grandma. Because they would give me books I would never read, you know, give me books, try and introduce me to meditation and all these things. But it was when I felt hopeless, you know, and I hate that it got to that point, but I was young too, you know, and I was like, I might as well just pick this book up. I might as well let me just see what's going on with this, because this has to work. And when you pick those books up and you crack it open, you realize that the book was talking to you. You realize that these books have energy and that it's attracting you. It's not just because for no reason. It's like it's literally there ends up in your hands because it's destiny, you know? Yeah. And that's one of the things I learned as soon as I cracked it open. I remember reading the 7 Spiritual Laws of Success and tearing up, you know? And I remember reading Asking and It's Given by Esther and Jerry Hicks and like feeling my whole vibration change. And that is one of the most that is the first time that I realized that there are two realities. There's a reality that we see with our eyes and our feel and touch, and then there is a reality just as real where it is our spiritual world that we can create and manifest, and that is the reality with a capital R. You know what I'm saying? That's the real reality that you bring to the other reality. And so anyway, I did these exercises, man. I only read books because I had to in school. That was like my thing. Like,
I can relate.
You know, and it was some good books, right? Like I remember we read Animal Farm, The Hobbit, all these great books that helped me, but I still never read on my own time. So these were the first books I read on my own time. You know, I graduated high school. I ended up meeting Kanye right before I graduated high school. So I ended up rapping for him. It's a classic fairy tale hip hop story. You meet your idol, you rap for him, he hears you out. And I had been recording CDs since I was 11 years old, man. So I had been passing out CDs around school, selling them for $5, $3. I had been participating in open mics, battle rapping. I had gone to the radio station every Friday after school, even when, you know, because when I turned 16, my grandmother had a stroke. And she had a brand new car. So it was a bittersweet thing because it was tragic to see my grandma, you know, have a stroke, and the strongest woman I've ever seen literally get old instantaneously. And then I ended up getting a car, which provided me to get places that I needed to get to, you know, to make the moves I was trying to make. Cause I had that hustler mentality. I was like, I had to do it, you know. Eminem was the only rapper from Detroit at the time that was doing it big, and just to keep it real, I was like, I gotta represent for Black, you feel me, and be like and put on for my city, and I just felt the responsibility, man. And I know I'm skipping around a lot.
That's all good, man. That's all good.
Yeah, but I would do this radio show every week. You know, and that led me to meeting Kanye because he was at the radio promoting his album, Late Registration, at the time. And, you know, I met him from doing the radio show there every Friday. I lied and said I left my phone in the back offices so they would let me in the back to go check because I knew that's where the artist would go. I got a chance to rap for him as he was walking out. You know, he was like, I'm real busy.
How did you have the courage to do that? Because I feel like people probably see you and they're like, oh, I want to go rap for Big Like, you know, people want to repeat.
All the time.
Yeah, exactly. So how do you think you were able to even have the courage to be like, I'm just going to find a way in the hallway? Like, you know, when he's walking, he's a busy guy.
Well, because when I did that radio show every Friday, we would rap on the air, on the radio.
Yeah.
That was the most nerve-wracking thing I've ever had to do in my life. Mm-hmm. It would be like, oh my God, everybody who's listening to the radio right now is hearing me. And that was a beautiful platform, right, for up-and-coming MCs to come in and display. And I would write a new verse every week, and I was super nervous. So I had done that for about a year straight already by the time I met him. So I was used to rapping under pressure.
Right.
So when I saw him and was delivering it, it was just like I had so many raps in my head already, and I was freestyling, and I was used to delivering under pressure. So I was able to dynamically, you know, I delivered it as best I could.
Yeah.
And he heard me. He heard me out, and he was like, well, you got a CD? And it's like, well, yeah, because I had CDs that I was selling in high school. I had my CDs ready. I had a bio ready. I had everything ready. And it's crazy because ever since I was 11 years old, every single thing I had done so far had led up to that moment. It all happened. And it was like, yeah, I had the CD, I had this, I had that. And he followed through, but it took years after that. That's what people don't get. It wasn't like I rapped for him and that was it. You know, I rapped for him and thought it was going to be like that. That's why I didn't go to school. That's why I turned everything down. And then I stopped getting a response from him. And then all my friends are in college. A whole semester goes by, and they're like, "Man, you could have came to school. What you still at home? Like, what's up with Kanye? What's up with your record deal? Like, what's up?" Like,
that's the hardest to hear.
That's the hardest. And I come from a family. My grandma's like, "Why? You know, you need to go to school. Like, this is the way to a better life." You know, she grew up in poverty and made her way to that point. You know, and she's like, education is the way. And it was the hardest thing to go against the grain. You know, and my mom was really one of the only people who, even though she was a teacher herself, right, an English teacher, has her master's degree, she knew what it was like to have a dream, and she knew what it was like to chase it, you know. So she believed, of course, education is important, but you can always go back and get it. You can't always live your, you know, take that chance.
Can't do it the other way around, yeah.
So during that time period, for like a year and a half or two, what I did was, that was the first time I intentionally worked on myself. And I intensely would read these books and meditate every day, and, you know, imagine myself like living the life that I was, you know, trying to live. And it just, I don't know how to explain it. It was like I felt like I was there. And what that did was it put me there. It really did. To make a long story short, it put me there.